it's okay that you didn't do that.
Oh, thank God.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Michael.
Yeah.
So how's life? What's new in the world of Jade?
Nothing, not much. We are, that's a lie. I shouldn't say not much. That's just like a regular answer. We've got a lot going on actually. So, coaching full-time at CrossFit Fargo, because we are open full-time. We open full-time May 1st. So we're really lucky that I live in Minnesota, but I get to work in North Dakota. So a lot of people don't get that option. Let's see, Michael is in Duluth, Monday through Friday. He comes home on the weekend. So he got a new job in Duluth. So we'll be moving there at the end of July. Just running around with these two crazy dogs. And Hadley's visiting her dad right now. She'll be back next week. So just kind of all over the place.
Fun. So you're bacheloretting it for the week.
I am. It's not that great, but it's fine. Yeah. I get a lot of stuff done because I don't have anything else to do. So
welcome to my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd your journey get started in health and fitness, or like getting to coach? I know you used to work like at restaurants all the time, and then you made the big change to head coaching at Fargo.
Yeah. So I played high school sports, and then I also played college basketball. And after that, I was like, sweet freedom, no one to tell me what to do. And I gained a lot of weight. I'm a huge like yo-yo weight gainer, and I just kind of always have been. After I had Hadley, so she's 9 now, I was single, and I was like, I can't live like this anymore. I was like, I have to honestly really be thoughtful of like the health that I need to be a single mom, because you have to do everything, right? So I started working out when she was about 6 months old, and thankfully when I started working out again, the YMCA had a daycare. So shout out to the YMCA for anyone who's a parent. Like, I know some CrossFit gyms will let you take their kids there, not so much now because of COVID-19. But the YMCA had a daycare, which was really beneficial for me in my small town because I lived in northern Minnesota. And after that, after working out at the Y for a while, people would come up to me and be like, what are you training for? Are you training for something? And I was like, life? No, nothing. And this was, I'd never heard of CrossFit. CrossFit wasn't on the Iron Range in Minnesota. It still really isn't. I think there's one gym in Grand Rapids, and that's all for CrossFit gyms. So I saw CrossFit one day on YouTube, just like kind of everybody else who found CrossFit. And I was like, this looks way better than, I was like, running a mile, doing some weight machines. I'd run a mile again, do a couple more weight machines. I knew how to deadlift because we deadlifted and back squatted for swimming when I was in high school. So I knew how to do that stuff. Not very well. I wasn't very strong, but I would do stuff like that. And I was like, CrossFit looks a lot cooler than what I'm doing now. So my friend Abby Hoko and I bought some plyometrics boxes for the YMCA because they wouldn't buy them. And we're like, what if we buy them? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll give you a break so you can call it a donation on your taxes. So we did that, and we started doing CrossFit. And then I wrote on Facebook one day, I was like, has anyone ever heard of CrossFit? And lo and behold, Michael Vespa answered my message. And we were not together at the time. He was dating somebody else. And he was like, hey, I work at a CrossFit gym in Duluth if you ever want to come and try a class. So I managed to find like 5 friends, and we all went to Duluth one day on a Saturday and did a CrossFit class. And it was completely awful and really hard. And I think they made us do overhead squats or something, like just like something I would never make somebody new do.
Yeah, the thing Michael wouldn't make anybody new do now.
Yeah, now he wouldn't, but then he's like, let's show these clowns what CrossFit's about. So we did that, and it was hard and it was terrible. And I was like, cool, I never want to do that again. So fast forward to like maybe a year later, Michael and I had started dating then. And he's like, you have to do CrossFit. He's like, CrossFit's such a big part of my life. You have to do it. And I was like, CrossFit is stupid. I do not like it. I am bad at it. I'm just going to keep going to the YMCA. And he's like, no. So I started doing CrossFit. It's like that one meme where it's like, my cat wanted a cat, or my wife wanted a cat. I said, no, now we have a cat. So it's like that meme, but for CrossFit. So then I started doing CrossFit, and I moved to Duluth. I was working in the restaurant industry still in Duluth at a couple of different places, and I'd worked out then it was CrossFit Aerial. And I had been working out there for like a year and a half, and I was like, you know what? I love this, because I got to be in the gym and I got to see how first it changed my life. I think it's really important for women, especially, creating strong, healthy, independent women. It transfers over into your life. And I was like, I love this. I was like, I want to do this. I was like, I want to coach. I want to change people's lives. So it just popped up in my Facebook memories that 4 years ago, like 2 weeks ago, I got my level 1. So I got my level 1, started coaching at CrossFit Aerial, which is now Aerial Athletics. I coached boot camp, or I can't even remember what they called it. I started coaching boot camp. I started coaching boot camp before I got my level 1, just because I liked it so much and I was good at it. Because of the restaurant industry, I'm a people person. Not necessarily like I love people, but I do love people. Not all the people. Some people aren't that great. But so that's kind of like my niche in the coaching world, is the people part, understanding people, helping people feel comfortable, the social aspect of it. So then Michael got hired at CrossFit Fargo. So we moved to Fargo, and I didn't coach right away. I just thought like they had 18 bench coaches. I was like, they don't need me. They have 18 other coaches. So, but eventually I kind of started talking to them about it. And I was like, I ran a pretty successful boot camp, or coached a pretty successful boot camp back in Duluth. So they let me have a shot, and I've been coaching there for almost 2 years, because we've been here 2.5 years. So almost 2 years probably. And then they had been looking for a head coach, or not head coach, just a full-time coach. I would say that CrossFit Fargo currently doesn't have a head coach. We've just got 4 full-time staff, and we kind of like share everything that's going on. No one's like really in charge of anything more than anyone else, which is nice. So that was in like February that they posted that. And I was like, I'll apply. I was like, the worst they can say is no. I was like, that's not a big deal. So I applied, and they're like, come in for an interview. And I was like, oh my God. So I did. I went in for an interview, and I ended up getting hired, which was like a conundrum in itself, because I was the manager at a restaurant, and I really, really, really love my job. So it was really hard for me to leave there. I'd been working in the restaurant industry for like 12 years, and then coaching on the side for like 4. So it was like 2 things that I really loved. And I never thought excuse me, sir. I never thought I'd have this opportunity to do it. And so when they hired me, I was really like, oh, I shouldn't take it. I don't know what I'm doing. But definitely Michael and some of the people at the gym helped me build my confidence, and were like, you're gonna be great. Like, we love your classes. We love coming. So I took that plunge, and thankfully, right when I did, I started the full-time job the same week that the whole state closed. So if I wouldn't have taken that job, then I don't know what we would have done during the shutdown, because I wouldn't have been making any money at the restaurant. So like, God's timing is literally comedically perfect when it comes to stuff like that. It was laughable how lucky that we were that happened.
And then how did you stay up? Like, did you guys just run classes online once the state shut down and everything?
Yep. Yeah. So we had 3 Zoom classes a day. We started out with 4. We had 6:30 a.m. We had a noon, and then we had a 5:30 p.m. And then like people are like, I don't have to get up for work. I'm not coming to 6:30 a.m. So we changed it to 8:30 a.m. And we actually just stopped Zoom classes. This is the first week we haven't had any. So we were doing Zoom classes for 3 months. We have a lot of medical professionals who go to the gym because Sanford and Essentia are really big out here. So we have a lot of nurses that are like, I'm working in the COVID unit. Like, I'm not coming to the gym. Or like, we've got some that are like, I work in an ICU. I don't want to be around people. So we had those classes for them, or like stay-at-home moms, because we're not letting kids come to the gym right now just because kids touch everything. And not necessarily that kids are getting COVID-19, but they could be a carrier. There's just so much information that we don't know. And the state of North Dakota guidelines are pretty lax, where like right next to us is the state of Minnesota. So we kind of like look at both just to get a better general sense. But yeah, Zoom classes were pretty good. We went on a road trip and I coached Zoom classes from the back of my car. We got like a hot spot and brought some dumbbells with us, and I coached my classes with like mountains in the background and stuff. So that was pretty neat. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never gotten to hear your story before. So
yeah, I know.
Listen to Michael all the time.
Yeah, same, man, same. I know you were like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I told Mike, I'm like, he's running out of people to talk to, I think. So
I was gonna message Michael first and be like, do you think Jade will be on the podcast? And then I was like, nope, I'm just not gonna ask him.
Yeah, I ask him to be on his podcast all the time, and he's like, well, what would we talk about? I'm like, I don't know. So,
I don't know. Our house, the dogs.
Something, yeah.
So how's life in Minnesota while working in Fargo? Do you have to take do they make you take extra precautions seeing as you live just over the border or anything?
Really. No, because similar to how Duluth and Superior are right next to each other, or Minneapolis, St. Paul, something like that. It's not really, it'd be different if I was like coming from Duluth and going to Fargo, they'd take extra precautions. But when I got back from my road trip, I had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks, just for safety purposes. So it's nothing crazy. Like, we don't have to wear masks to work at the gym. Like in North Dakota, there's some places like obviously Costco won't let you in without a mask. Here, Menards won't let you in without a mask. So each place has different guidelines. Some aren't even set by the state, so they don't really make us take extra precaution. But I don't really touch anybody. Everyone has their own square. We're really big into using Simple Green. Literally the whole gym is just Simple Green everywhere. So we sanitize our equipment before we use it. We sanitize it after we use it. We spray the square that we worked out in. So
just buy extra mops. Everybody gets their own mop in the square.
It's sterile. Yeah.
Just a bunch of Swiffer wet jets all over the place.
Everyone's like, oh, the gym has never been so clean. I'm like, yeah, it's because you guys are cleaning up after yourselves. It's wild what can happen when you do
crazy.
That. Yeah.
It's I've been in a bunch of gyms over the last 11 years, and even the high school gym that I started at, nobody cleaned their equipment.
No.
And now the gym I go to now, all the employees have to wear masks, but the people that go work out and don't have to wear a mask unless you want to. But they have at least 20 more cleaning stations with spray bottles instead of wet wipes. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then you'll see all the higher employees, not just the high school kids cleaning. And you're just like, oh, they're everyone's actually cleaning now.
They're
This is,
doing it. Yeah.
and then like the old people will go like use the machines and they'll like hold the wet wipes in their hands while using it. And it's like,
They
I
all
mean,
did that though. Yeah.
it's like they haven't changed.
No, they haven't changed at all. No,
And like
not at all.
I was doing whatever Michael sent me last week. And like there's this dude in there, he probably around my age, maybe Michael's age. And like he's like started talking to someone as soon as like he got done with his station. And then the guy's like, you can't talk to me yet. Like you have to go clean. And he's like, oh yeah. And I was like,
Yeah. What are you doing? New way
this is
of life.
insane.
Yeah,
It's like, wait, you didn't do that after you use your equipment anyways? Like it's sweaty.
Yeah. You just walk away and then hope that someone goes on it so you don't have to clean it.
It's like, oh, you're gonna use it? I'll let you clean it. It's okay.
Yeah.
But who inspired you growing up to like, I don't know, be who you are now, and who inspires you now, like other than the dogs?
Yeah, super inspirational. I call my dogs Dumb and Dumber, so I don't think that they don't inspire me that much.
That's okay. We have Dumbest in the kennel right now.
Yeah. So I would say growing up, I always say my grandma Carmen inspired me the most, and not because like she like did anything super aspirational. Like I don't want to be like she didn't do anything, but like she wasn't like a scientist or anything like that. She was just a really nice lady. She passed away when I was like 11, but even the things I remember are the people that say stuff about her. Like the thing that everyone says about her is like she accepted everybody. She accepted everyone for who they were. You could come into her house at any time. She would take care of you. And that's kind of just the goal I set for myself, like as a person to be. So I think that was really beneficial in like how I am a people person. And then I think who inspires me now is just being in the gym space and seeing so many like empowered people. I can't say specifically that anyone is like super inspiring to me that way, but like just going in and seeing like people have these outside lives, and when they come into the gym they really just like give everything they have to that 1 or 2 hours that they're in there, and just kind of forget about the other stuff. You know, we've got a lot of stay-at-home moms, we have a lot of working moms, we have a lot of, you know, dads, we have adaptive athletes, we've got everything, you know, and just those people who come in and don't let the outside world dictate what they do for themselves. I think that's really cool, because I have a hard time like not letting outside situations affect me taking care of myself. I have a guilt complex. So I really admire people who like really take that time for themselves.
That's awesome. And what lessons have you learned along the way that you could share with people that may be in the same situation as you are?
Well, when I talk to boot camp people, they're always like, well, you don't understand. Like, you look like this, when they're super overweight. And I'm just like, ladies, let me tell you, I've been big, I've been small, I've been healthy, I've been mentally unhealthy. I've been all over the spectrum. So I think that's really beneficial when I'm helping people, because I have perspective for a lot of those things. So I think that, you know, life has just taught me a lot of lessons that allow me to help other people.
Okay. And what like words of wisdom could you give the people that maybe are still stuck in like a rut because they couldn't go to the gym or they couldn't go outside and do their favorite activities? What words of wisdom could you share with those people right now?
That's tough, because I'm always like, I'll do it tomorrow. And then sometimes I don't do it tomorrow either. So they just, obviously tomorrow is a new day. There's nothing wrong with not doing it, but there is something wrong with quitting. So, you know, if if you're going to do it and today, tomorrow, or the next day aren't the best day for you, that's not a problem. As long as you promise that yourself that you're actually going to do it. But nothing is worse than quitting, because then you have to start over again, and starting is the hardest part, honestly.
Fantastic. There we go. We found the title to the episode.
Yeah. Woo.
Woo.
Always at the end, man. It's always at the end.
I didn't even get to title Michael's.
That's all right. You guys probably went on like 24 tangents on Michael's, so that's all right.
No, we had he had a hard out with a meeting, and I was like,
nice. That guy.
I was
always
like,
in.
I was like, all right, let's do this.
Nice.
But who helped you find your work ethic? Because I know I've worked in the restaurant industry a little bit. Like growing up, my first job ever was dishwashing, and out of high school,
Terrible job.
Bad. Like as soon as I got 13 years old, the Bible camp that my grandpa started, you couldn't work there until you were in 7th grade. So when I was in 7th grade, they're like, "Oh, you're 13?"
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, "You want to make $7 a meal?" And I was like, "Sure, I have nothing else to do with my life. I'm 13 and homeschooled." Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go wash some dishes.
Yeah, the restaurant industry is really unforgiving. I would say so. My dad's work ethic and probably his dad's work ethic are on par with psychopaths. My dad will work. He gets up for work between 3:30 and 4 a.m. and he goes to work all day. Sometimes he gets home at 9 p.m. He is a workaholic. And unfortunately, I get my work ethic from my dad. And he has this thing where he thinks that people won't be able to do it unless he's there. And then I have that thing as well. So even if I'm not at work, I'll go in to see how people are doing. How you doing? You guys doing? So, so my dad's work ethic is out of this world. It was kind of a disadvantage to our family growing up because he was never there. So I really try with my work ethic to at least make some time for my family because it's super important. So the restaurant industry, working between 40 to 50 hours a week, typically 10 to 14 hour shifts, sometimes just on your feet all day, but it's exciting because it's different all the time. So it's not you go to the gym and I coach 5 classes today and each class is exactly the same, but different people are going to show up to it. And although that's exciting because the different people, I get to teach them different aspects of movement and stuff like that. The restaurant industry is I've got 1 table, I've got 17 tables, let's go. It's all over the map. So it's kind of an adrenaline rush. And I think that's kind of what kept me in it so long, besides the sweet, sweet cash that you make. But yeah, so I'm sad to be out of it for now, but I'm thankful as well because I have had an opportunity to use the skills that I learned in that industry and bring it over to a different industry. And I think it's really beneficial for my coaching. And I'm really weird too, so it works in both spaces.
Okay. Yeah, I think everyone should work in the food industry for a little bit.
Yeah, you would be a much better person. Maybe a worse person, but you'd be more understanding of people in other jobs, other customer service based jobs.
Yeah, because even when I was dishwashing, I'd have to help in the kitchen or run food out, and they're like, "I've never seen you before." It's that's because I'm cleaning your dishes.
I'm that hole in the back. Yeah.
Yeah, you see that door back there? Don't go in. It's a mess.
Yeah. My brother was a dishwasher for 4 years, and everyone that worked with him, they're like, he's the best, but he's mad all the time. And I was like, yeah, well, washing dishes is not cool. It's not fun or anything. So
yeah. And there were days where I'd show up at I worked at a cafe, and it was we open at 8, you have to be there at 7:30 to get everything set up. And it's all right. And they're your shift ends at 2, and then it'd be 3. And they're what are you still doing here? I was I'm still cleaning. Did you take a break? No.
Yeah.
Why? It's dirty.
Yeah, that's the sucky thing about the restaurant industry is like you don't, as much as you would like to get breaks, if you're busy, you don't get a break,
Yep.
regardless of which position that you work in. So that's kind of bummer about it. So I learned to like eat food over a garbage can in a quick amount of time.
Yep.
So yeah, so
Like I would bring, if they're like, no, you need to go on a break, I'd be like, all right. And I'd go cook my own meal, bring it
mhm.
back into the dish room, like eat it in the corner
Yeah.
while washing dishes. Like, what are you doing? I'm eating and working. Are you
It's
on
my,
your break? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
But what are some of your future plans other than, like moving to Duluth and all that fun
Right.
stuff you can talk about?
Yeah. So honestly, for the Vespas, our goal has always been to open our own gym. Um, over all the years of people being like, why don't you own your own gym? Well, it's a giant financial undertaking and a huge responsibility. So I mean, that's our 10-year goal, is to do that. And our 10-year goal, that's what we've set it as. Well, now it's not 10, it's like a 7-year goal now. But so that's our main goal. And working on that. It will not be a CrossFit gym. Um, it will probably use some methodologies, but Michael is a incredibly good programmer.
Yep.
So I'll never have to worry about those aspects of it. And we've worked for and with enough people. I think that we kind of have, the things that we want down and how we want it to be run and how important it is to have good staff. In this industry, a lot of people opened a gym because they thought it'd be fun and they thought they'd get to work out all the time. And then you realize like you literally don't have time to do anything because you're actually in a customer service based business and you're answering the phones and emails and meeting new people and all that stuff all the time. So just working on owning a gym where we won't get burnout is like our number one goal. So that is our future plan. So moving back to Duluth at the end of the summer, figuring out getting Hadley situated with school and stuff like that. I don't have an immediate plan, but with how things are going with CrossFit, I feel like my level 1 might be rendered useless pretty soon. So I'm probably going to get a few other certifications.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying what's going on right now.
Yes. Yeah. It's incredibly unfortunate. And, but I think people were getting kind of complacent and a shift was needed. Maybe not this big of a shift, but a shift was definitely needed. Because how can you grow if something like this doesn't happen? You just kind of get complacent. So
Yeah. Like without stress or pain, you don't grow at all anyways. And
correct.
now, thanks, Michael, for that quote. I stole it from his Instagram.
Yeah.
But like for real, like if this didn't happen, it'd be the same thing over and over again. And now maybe we can just have like a company that's community driven.
Yes. Wouldn't that be great?
It
Yeah.
would be fantastic. Like Lambeau Field is owned by the community.
Oh, nice. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's little trivia for people that don't grow up in Wisconsin their whole
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
Like I did my level 2 in March and I did it in Minneapolis. And
Okay.
so every single person there was either from Minnesota or Canada. And
Oh,
I know. I was like, you drove to Minneapolis from Canada? You're insane.
yeah.
And like, I was the only person that grew up in Wisconsin. So everyone was like talking about the Vikings and like, I'd bring up the Packers and then it'd just be like,
Yeah.
excuse me. First off, when do you guys win a Super Bowl? And then I was like, oh, too soon? Okay.
Yeah.
But they're like, have you been to Lambeau Field? I was like, yeah. And they're like, is it as crazy as people say? And I was like, yeah, there's like a 50-foot Vince Lombardi trophy when you walk in the door. And they're like,
Wow.
why do they have a banner of the Vince Lombardi trophy? I was like, no, like a statue, not like a banner. And they're like, you guys are stupid. I was like, that's okay.
You're like, cheese. It's
Like
fine.
cheese, we put it on our heads. Like,
Yeah.
it's fine. So what books would you recommend for people to read right now, since a lot of people still have a lot of extra time, or even if they don't have extra time?
Unlike my beautiful husband, I don't get to read much. I'm more of a audiobook kind of lady because I'm always on the go. And I would say currently, anything by Brene Brown would be really insightful for anybody just to kind of shift their perspective on learning about themselves a little bit. I think she makes things that are easy to read for all people, but still it gives you a good, my dogs are going wild. It gives you a good perspective on, oh my gosh, get over here. Gives you a good perspective on, you know, looking inside and seeing how you can change things and how you feel about yourself and also about how you feel about other people. And then let's trying to think of like the last thing I read was probably like You're a Badass. That one's a good one. And then Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis. I read both. I think that if you are in a relationship, it is really important as the male in your relationship to read Girl Wash Your Face to understand kind of the stress and like self-doubt that a lot of women put on themselves. So I know a few of my friends, their husbands have read Girl Wash Your Face and they're like, I had no idea that this is how you felt. It talks about dating, it talks about sex, it talks about marriage, it talks about religion, it talks about self-doubt, it talks about a lot of aspects that, you know, women kind of hide to be perfect. So that I think that's a really beneficial book. And then Girl Stop Apologizing is like the sequel to that book. Dudes don't have to read that one. That's for the ladies, but it's just really empowering stuff. So
Awesome.
that's
Well,
kind of what
thank you.
yeah, you're
And
welcome.
where can people find you, Jade?
They can find me on Instagram, Jade_Vespa. They can find me on Facebook, Jade Mariucci Vespa. You can find me at CrossFit Fargo, coaching every night of the week here in beautiful Fargo, North Dakota.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this.
Yeah, absolutely, Dano. Thank you for asking me.
Of course. Of course. Well, you have a wonderful day.